I want to talk about the advert, the Super Bowl advert. Both of you are going to be aware. A few weeks ago, it was a Super Bowl in America, and a certain Christian advert came up. Yeah, he gets us. So,
he gets us.
He gets us. Yes. So the advert was sponsored by He Gets Us. He gets us. I think I just go watch my advert. This is a Christian podcast.
What you heard.
Doesn't change that.
So in this advert, it features people from different demographics, sexual orientations, and so on and so forth, portraying the famous washing of the feet in the Bible. Yeah. Now, obviously, you've both seen the advert. It concludes by saying that Jesus didn't preach hate, taught us all to love each other, whatever. I just want your initial response to that. It's a great advert, right? Teaches love of Jesus for all mankind. He came for sinners, not for winners. What's your initial thought on the advert?
The ethos isn't wrong. Jesus didn't come to hate. That message isn't wrong. He didn't come to hate. He came for sinners, like you said. So everybody portrayed in that video is a sinner. I don't think I saw anything overly alarming in the video. I think the issue would be the intentions of the people who created the video and what message they're trying to put across with the video, because the video standalone portrays a great message. Jesus washed Judas's feet. He was a betrayer.
So the if you're talking about the message behind the advert, it's exactly that, in a sense that we are not to judge, we are not to hate, we are to accept every person as they are, because Jesus didn't teach us to hate. So does that change anything for you then?
No, it's what I've said. The message, I wouldn't say the message is incorrect. The message is correct. I would want to know the true intentions of the people putting across the message. In what way do they want people to receive the message? That's why I said if it was a standalone video, then I would have no qualms with it, because it does teach the gospel essentially.
Well, I think they're not. No, I don't like the advert, because they are right. Jesus didn't preach hate, quote unquote, but not hating is not the same as accepting. So they are right in that no Christian should be going around saying, "Oh, I hate gays," "Oh, I hate people who abort children," "Oh, I hate blah blah blah." But at the same time, it doesn't mean you should accept these things as righteous or as acceptable or as okay or as virtuous. So not hating someone is not the same as accepting something. So if they say no, Jesus doesn't say you should hate homosexuals. No, absolutely, he doesn't say that. But he does say that being a homosexual is an abomination unto the Lord. And so anyone who follows Christ or the Christ message or the Bible or God will understand that this is an abomination unto the Lord. So what does that mean? If you come to me and say, is it okay for me to be gay? I'll say, no, not according to the Bible, not according to what God has said. Do I hate you as a person?
But I would treat you with humility,
you know
the same way Christ was humble enough
100%.
to wash the feet of his disciples.
If you've got a broken leg, am I going to attend to it? Yes, 100% I'm going to attend to it. If you invite me to your gay wedding, am I going to go? No, because what you're doing is not in line with what God teaches. It's not acceptable unto the sight of the Lord. So
you cannot affirm that part.
So it's an advert which I think Christianity does this a lot. Whether it's by Christians or people who hijack Christian, I don't know.
But where there's people that hijack Christian.
Yeah, where they say, "Oh, God is love. God is love. Therefore, love is love." You know, that's a slogan of people in it. Love is love. Therefore, it doesn't matter, because if God is love, He accepts all kind of love. And it's like, well, no, that's not what the Bible is teaching. So it is definitely, it's disingenuous. I think it's a definition of sheep in wolf's clothing.
And that's the
No,
point.
that's wrong. Wolf in sheep's clothing. And you both of you agreed.
I hadn't processed it yet. All right, I was coming there.
I think it's a definition of wolf in sheep's clothing. A message that on the surface appears to be righteous, appears to be, this makes sense. But no, if you peel out the layers, No, it's apostasy,
Wow.
for lack of a better word.
So,
When did you learn that word?
just before we started recording.
I saw it on a video a couple of days ago. I think I used it in the right context.
I'm not so sure. So, if you could say something to the Christendom at large, to believers at large, do you think Christians should be outraged by this kind of advert? Now, I'm saying that the reason I'm saying that, let me put some meat on that, is because we know that you take Prophet Muhammad and do something remotely like that, there's going to be outrage, right? Do you think as Christians, as believers rather, or no, let me scrap that. Do you think as followers of Christ, we need to start owning this Messiah?
Why you scrub Christians and believers? What's the difference between Christians, believers?
I
and
scrapped
followers of
Christians for a future discussion. Believers I'll stick, but I wanted followers of Christ because coming straight from the advert, it's about being Christ-like in that example he portrayed of the washing of the feet.
I guess my question would be, what would being outraged achieve?
That's a good question. So I'll answer that before Chin comes in. So what I'm trying to say by that is, okay, I'm not saying that people should go march and burn towns and whatnot, but do you think as followers of Christ, do you think we need to start owning the biblical Christ? Do you think we need to start? Do you think we need to start not being okay with things like this being portrayed of our Jesus? Because, like I said, do that to Muhammad, you're gonna find Muslims on the streets telling you don't play that movie at the cinemas. I think it happened before, actually. You know, do you think we need that kind of passion as well? Do you think Christians are too lax?
You see, this is an interesting thought that goes through my head because it's easy, and I think there was a time I envied the zeal and the protection that I guess you can say Islam or Muslims have over their religion and over their word. Because we always say that people don't say certain things against Muslims and stuff for fear of retribution or retaliation and stuff like that. Now, do I want people to have that same fear towards Christians? My initial thought would be no, because is that the Jesus that we want to preach? However, I'm still coming. So my initial thought is that I don't think the outrage of Christians should be likewise to that of Muslims, for example, to the point where people fear saying something, towards or against Christianity for fear of retribution, right? Being blown up or something like that.
Wow.
But okay, hang on. How? Because the thing is, the Bible does say, God does say, vengeance is mine, right? Which is why He says, love your enemies, love your neighbors.
Yes.
Why? Because if someone is doing something against you, God is saying, don't worry about it. I got it. So to a certain extent, Christians have to be a lot more passive than, I guess, other religions
knowing that the day of judgment is coming upon them,
knowing that
soon
God will deal with it. But then at the same time, absolutely, we can't be doormats. We can't let people misrepresent our faith. And I think for me, that's where the issue is. I think we should be outraged in that we should be correcting the misrepresentation of our faith.
But then at the same time, shouldn't we be expecting the misrepresentation? Because when the Bible tells us that there is going to be a time where there will be a lot of misrepresentation. So isn't that, if we try and stamp out the misrepresentation, aren't we stamping out the signs?
No, because the fact is, it's going to happen, but then our role, our portion is to speak out when we can. So it doesn't mean it's going to stop the thing.
Is that speak out in retaliation, or are we just to speak out full stop regardless of who said what? Speak
out in defense of the true word of God. So for example, if as Christians we see that this advert is misrepresenting Christ, we should say no.
We should have
this is not the Christ of the Bible. This is not the Christ. This is not our Christ. You're misrepresenting Christ. This is Christ, A, B, C, D. So at least...
But shouldn't we just be doing that in the way we live, full stop, without having to bring out their boxing gloves? Because then doesn't that become...
Yes, and... In that, yes, we should always...
Improv class now.
No. Yes, in that we should obviously be representing Christ in our everyday lives, yeah. but situations will come where you will have to speak up. Even in the Bible, everyone in the Bible was expected to live Christ-like.
Is that
but there came situations where you have to stand up, you have to defend your faith, you have to defend Christ, you have to defend what you believe in.
And the Bible does actually call us to be ready to defend our faith.
Yes, 100%. So I guess we're talking about the occasions that come up. I'm not saying every single day you should go out and looking for the battle, unless that's your calling. Listen, I understand people are called to different things.
Joshua?
Yeah, I understand people are called. Someone's ministry might be to do that, to go and argue with the atheists, to go and argue with Hindus or Muslims. Listen, if that's what your calling is, that's what your calling is. I'm not gonna speak against it. But all I say is that for
Just
someone,
be sure you've been called by the right one.
Didn't David get upset when he heard Goliath talking about the Israelites and mocking them and God, and he was like, "Who is this heathen? Who is
this Philistine?
The Philistine?
Why? Yeah. So there will be moments where Christians will have to stand up for their faith, and it could be something big like this advert that reached millions and millions of people, or it could be something much smaller, maybe in your workplace or in your social life or whatever, where someone has said something about God, against God. I was going to say do God. I don't know if they're going to say do God. But whether they've said either it's a blasphemous statement or whatever, and you as the Christian in that room, you have to stand up for your faith. You have to say what needs to be said in that moment. Because otherwise what? If someone says, God is evil, God is unjust, and we just say
passive aggressive, you're going to be sorted, but we're saying that in our heads.
You see, so
fair enough. Okay, so I want to move slightly on. This is just a bit of fun for my sake.
Hey y'all, this Ye, and this is my commercial. And since we spent all the money on the commercial spot, we actually didn't spend any money on the actual commercial. But the idea is, I want you to go to Yeezy.com, YEEZY.com, and I'm gonna write it at the bottom of the screen. And I got some shoes, and that's it.
So that first advert cost about 30 million for the spot that they had. Now, Mr. Yay. Do you know what that advert was on?
What the advert was on?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So the clip that I got you to watch, that was also an advert that he released. Do you know where it was released?
Where was it released?
Super Bowl.
So that video
the
aired
video
at the
you
Super Bowl.
watched aired at Super Bowl.
Okay.
Cost him 7 million to do that. Do you know how much he made?
How much?
19 million. My question is simple.
Yeah, I'm
Is this guy a genius or what?
Oh, I don't know if genius is what I'll use, but does he know what he's doing, and is he good at what he does? 100%. Yeah.
He recorded that in his car, from what I could tell, on his mobile phone, absent-minded, and
But for him, it's the spot that
it.
matters, isn't it? Because it's who you get that information out to. So you can pay 7 million for a brilliant advert that's going to get played after Death in Paradise on BBC. There's a niche audience for that. Or you can pay the same 7 million for the top spot in advertising the Super Bowl. Maybe even just put the name of your website, and it gets broadcasted to literally the entire world.
I was mind blown when I came across that. I said this has to feature. But okay,
not smart.
Moving slightly on.
Work smart, not hard.
Moving slightly on to more important things. Now,
so hold on, what does the Yeezy thing connect to?
Absolutely nothing. I
It
absolutely
was just
enjoyed that.
fascinated.
I was just fascinated by
He
that.
was intrigued by the
It was
engineering.
obviously
Yeah, listen.